Welcome back to the Allegheny Northern in N scale, and this is the February 2024 layout update. So let's take a quick spin around the layout, talk about all the things that have changed and been updated in the month of February. So in February, a couple of awesome pickups to the layout, and you are looking at the Cato Big Boy with DCC and sound. If you didn't watch my review of this awesome locomotive, go back through the library there and find the review. This is an absolutely fantastic model. It has been a real joy to run around the layout, and I highly recommend that if you haven't picked it up, that you add this one to your collection. It's a fantastic performer. It is huge, but it does handle the curves of the layout pretty good. Just make sure you've got at least 11-inch radius curve on your layout, because that is the smallest that this thing can handle. But if you are a steam fan, or even if you're not, this is just really an awesome locomotive to add to your collection, and it's a great performer. And it doesn't really matter whether you're running era appropriate cars or some modern Amtrak, it's still just an absolute blast to operate. Okay, February also saw the release of the much anticipated Scale Trains SD40-2. I did a very long review of these, and there's a lot of people out there bitching and moaning about them. I do not have any bitches or any moans about them. I think they are fantastic locomotives, and mine are running excellently. You could check out the full review of the locomotives. They are railroad specific, so there's a lot of details that are specific to the railroad. So you can find my list of things that I don't like about them and my list of things that I do like about them in my review. The first two that I purchased was a Southern unit, and that will be followed by an NS unit. And there's probably 2 or 3 more of these in my future for March. Okay, I know it's a small detail, and all of the parts are not new. I did set up this maintenance away camp and crew cars. This train's never really going to make it around the layout, so I did put it on that sort of rip track, maintenance away track, someplace to park stuff, and it makes a nice little showpiece here down in the maintenance yard. So I think the addition of the stairs is a nice touch to these. They're not attached, so I can remove them at any time and actually move this train if I so chose to. But it looks pretty cool with the stairs on, so we're going to add some crew around here and make a little scene out of it. I also redid the gravel in this maintenance away yard. Looks a lot better than it did. So wasn't a big change, but it's something that I wanted to do for a while, and it looks good now that it's done. I've also, you notice, I've cleared out a lot of the extra trains that have been in this area, and that is because I'm starting to get things figured out for operations. So if a train didn't have a purpose for being there, I sort of moved it to either where it did have a purpose, or I took it off the layout completely. And I'll show you where that stuff is in just a moment. Okay, let's stay on a theme here and talk about winter and snow. And I had to do some track realignment back here, because when I purchased the Scale Trains and the Big Boy, they both had some issues with a low spot here on the track. And what happened is this is where 2 sections of the old layout met, and the small little piece here sort of dipped just enough that the wheels couldn't span that gap. I don't know why I didn't have that issue on some of the other larger locomotives, but whatever. So just a small piece of cork under there to put that all in straight alignment. Fix that, and then I took that time to redo some of the snow. Once again, there's some new snow products available through AK Interactive. They're not necessarily new, they were new to me. So I retouched some of the scenes here just to get it looking a little more wintry and try to cover up some of the yellowing that occurred from the old products. You can see where the old stuff is behind there and the new stuff in the front. So still a work in progress, but it does look a little bit better here when you get down towards track level. You can kind of see where the new stuff is at. So putzed around with that just a little bit to kind of get a little better coverage of the snow and of course get the trains running smoother, which they are now. Okay, back in the Roundhouse, I did work on the snow just a little bit to give it some melting ice qualities, and I did that using the AK Interactive material that you've seen before. So I just went over the areas that already had snow added to them, and I just improved it with that product because when I did this scene, I didn't have that product. So it's just something to add a little bit of snow and ice, and it does look better. It improves the overall look, and you'll notice that there are some different locomotives here, and that's because some of the ones that were here have been taken off the layout and are essentially in storage until I'm ready to get everything set up here for operations. Okay, on the other side of the engine terminal, once again, this was a whole thing spurred on by the big boy, and that was it had a little bit of an issue. Some of this track back here had gotten pulled out of alignment. What happened was I used Celluclay, which it's a paper mache type product, but when it dries, it'll shrink. And it was actually around the track here, and it shrunk, and it put some bumps and whatnot in the track. So I tore out from roughly about here all the way down through here and realigned that entire section to get it the way it was supposed to be and the way it was originally. And when I did that, I took that opportunity to clean out the turnouts, get them sort of put back the way they were supposed to be, the way they always were before the scenery got built around them. And I was back to running, so the big boy can now do the Y. It can pull into the terminal and do everything that it might need to do in the service of running on the Amtrak service there. So that was taken out, put back, and now we're on to additional scenery down here and working on the passenger terminal, which this month I also picked up some additional styrene so I can get back into here. I haven't done it yet, but there are plans to get back in here and start putting some interiors into my terminal. Okay, I will admit it is not the most glamorous part of the hobby, but I did spend a bunch of time replacing couplers and wheel sets on cars. Some of these have been around for a long time and they just weren't performing the way they should. So some of them are truck mounted like these, and then on my train that is running the layout right now, which is eyeballing through town there, those first two box cars right behind the locomotives, they have body mount couplers, which I added, and because the trucks, there was nothing wrong with the trucks actually, but they were just getting pulled right off the track with those scale trains, which couple pretty close. So you can see now that I'm whipping around there, they are not getting ripped off the tracks anymore. So slowly but surely I am converting as many cars as possible to body mount. It's not a priority. It's just something that as I make replacements, I am going to go to body mount couplers. They just perform so much better. So it puts all the force of the train through the body of the car instead of onto the trucks, which cause derailments. So it'll be a slow process. Like I said, it's not really on the fast lane for getting completed, but it is something that does make a difference. So I am working on that. Okay, speaking of locomotives and rolling stock going. So I have, I'm working on some weathering here on some cement cars. So, this is just, this is a work in progress. And what I wanted to do here was, simulate some spilled cement load. So I think that's coming out nice. And get this weathered up. And had some issues with the trucks. So I got new trucks on here, micro trains. They are truck mounted, because you can see there's no plastic in there for me to body mount. And I could add it, but that's one step further than I wanted to take this project. Here is one of the cars that was slated for coming off the line. So I'm weathering it, and I'm going to determine whether or not it stays on the railroad, or whether it is put in the box of items that will at some point be sold. So right now, working through weathering it, and we'll see what happens. So I've got 2 more of those cement hoppers that I'm working on to make it look just like this little guy here. So there'll be varying degrees of weathering, but I pulled them off because they weren't performing very well. So it's time for some new wheel sets and couplers. And then I've got these. So these are the Concours old auto racks. Forgot what they were called there for a minute. And they don't match up well in detail to the Scale Trains versions, which I really like. So I'm weathering these things up, and we'll see what So these the CSX here and the Burlington Northern got the heavy weathering. These 2 are going to get a little bit lighter weathering. So once I'm done with them, I will determine whether or not they're going to stay in the lineup here as filler cars, or whether they go in the box for items that will be at some point sold off. So right now, things I'm selling off, I've got the 2 box cars and 4 of these, plus I have a trailer on a flat car that I'm working on. So you'll see them on the railroad. They're going to get weathered up, and then couplers change, that sort of thing, and then we'll see from there what I determine to do with them. But right now, they don't have a home on the layout, so anything that doesn't have a home on the layout is getting some degree of weathering and detailing, and if I can bring it up to the standard that I want on the railroad, it'll stay. If not, then it goes in the box, and at some point, it will be sold off. Okay, another thing that I did here was I corrected this bench work, and I know you're thinking, wait a minute, that's not what I'm looking at the scene. I know, but I corrected this bench work. So give you an idea, somehow, and it was totally, my goof. I was about a ½ inch off here in my level front to back. So I corrected that, and then where it stems from the problem is right back there where it goes through the steps. I had calculated the foam at a ½ inch when I was doing my math to get all the grades, and it's actually 1 inch. Don't know why I did that, but in any event, that caused a ½ inch bust on this side of the table, and it's always been there, and I just sort of ignored it. Well, I got tired of ignoring it, so I fixed it. So that was one of those deals. Now, this pile here. So I am changing the way this layout gets to the upper level, and right now, it's all gone. There is no more road to the upper level. So I've completely orphaned it off. The parts are sitting back there. Actually, they're stacked against the wall, most of them. But the reason I'm doing that is what I want to do is instead of having this curve off in this direction, which gave me this goofy sort of swing gate here. I don't mind having the swing gate down there. That's fine. I can get through that. This one was a pain in the ass, though, because it didn't open a full way, because it was kind of on the corner, and it made that narrow, and it was just not great. So what I'm going to do is this is going to turn, it's going to come out here, and then this is going to come straight, and it's going to meet here on the end. Rather than being a swing gate, and because I've got the washer and the dryer here, so I can't permanently block this, but I'm going to have 2 mobile sections that fit basically from here out to here will be one section, and then from here back to here will be a second section before they join a permanent part of the layout, which will tuck in behind the furnace, and then you can see where those other sections of the layout are. Then once we come around here, they will once again go in front of, well, now there's the gas meter and the water meter, so I can't block those, but I can build another mobile section that I can unbolt and move should me or the utility ever need to get to those, and then it'll eventually come back up into here. Now, what'll happen is chances are that grade will never work out to get from where it is to where it needs to be. So here's where the lower level pokes through. If I have to, if I absolutely have to, I will have at least a one rotation helix, which can take up this entire area. So it'll be nice and broad, and it'll just finish off right there. So it'll be a steady increase from there across for the wash and dryers. There's going to be two. I think it's 5 or 6 foot movable sections. So laundry day, I can move them out of the way, and then it'll disappear behind here at the furnace. Now, this is going to be a yard back here where I can keep trains in storage. So I can fit, I think I calculated 4 or 5 tracks back here. They are going to be full range, so I can park lots and lots of trains. I'm going to have turnouts back there so that I can break the trains up and get them out, and they don't all have to move all of them at the same time. But then it'll curve in front of here. Once again, 2 removable sections in case I ever got to get to the meters, and then up here onto onto the rest of the layout here. So that is going to start either in March or April, depending on when I can get outside and fabricate the rest of the bench work. So some of the pieces are already back here. This can get sort of repurposed and reused. Some of it is no good, and it'll just get torn apart and reused. Either way, I still need sections because I'm actually adding parts to the layout. Now, I had thought about expanding this lower level and adding some industries down here along the workbench. That is still a possibility, but for now, no. We're just going to build that to get up there. This yard will stay, but I'm, you can see right now that I've got my maintenance away and my tank train sitting here, and nothing else fits, right? So it really doesn't help me for what I'm trying to do. So that's where I'm at. Now, you have noticed that there is a boatload of locomotives back here. These are locomotives that right now don't have a home on the layout, and so a lot of them are in need of some upgrades and some weathering. And I mean, there's some really nice locomotives in here. I've got some SD40-2s, which are my favorite, and then some Fox Valley models that they don't make anymore, and then of course some Catos. Not gonna get rid of Catos. So, and then of course my CSX Grey Ghost locomotives, which I like, and my Broadway Limited Southern, which I don't like, and some other things. So these are hauled back here. They're gonna get some work done to them, and then they're going to go back to the layout once I have all of that staging track back there, and I can build trains and consists, and then these can run on the layout. So once I can group them into groups of like 3 and 4 locomotives together, then like these 3 will be consisted. Probably these 4 will be consisted, and then I'm not sure how I'm going to do the rest, but you get the idea. Also, I'm in the process of going through my rolling stock and items like this, which, yep, it's a standard box car, but it's not real pretty. The details are kind of basic, and so I'm gonna weather those things up, and then they're gonna be placeholders for now until I can get better rolling stock, and then they're gonna go. Okay, that's going to wrap us up for the month of February, and I know this is coming out a couple days into March. Don't worry, that won't affect the March update or any upcoming videos. So, just really busy week. Good week, just busy. So, it's time to get back into the train room. This last segment here was recorded on a Saturday, and there are some treats coming today, and actually they just arrived, and you're going to see a sneak peek of one here in just a minute. Yeah, there it is. So in any event, we are wrapping up here for February, and next video coming out is going to be some locomotive maintenance. That was a requested video on how-tos, so next weekend look out for locomotive maintenance.